There we go. How's that? We got some volume now? Yeah. I didn't add it to my other scene. I added it to my first scene, not my second scene. So we are ZENcast Live. Thank you for joining us. We are tapping into the ZENworks databases today. We meet the first and third Tuesday of every month. And we're thankful for you here being here. And please shout out in the chat and we can discuss things. This is basically your forum. We want to make sure it's things that you're looking for. And we had this suggestion, hey, how do I get into the ZENworks database? I have a Postgres. I don't have a database administrator. And so this came through. And so we wanted to at least uh, give you some idea of how to get in there. So we have details today about that. And again, if you have other ideas, please contact us about what you'd like to see in the ZENcast, because we would like to make it, this is your forum and we want to make sure that you get out of it everything you can. So it is for ZENworks admins and the ZENworks community, but also those that are wondering about ZENworks, right? So you can see a lot of these details and recordings on the support and training site. I am going to post today's presentation in the chat so you can download the PDF and you'll be able to follow along, and or if you're watching this recording, you can find it there as well and get all the links that we have going on in this presentation. Okay, for instance, we can see that where did it go? It went over here. So we have a support and training site out on YouTube, and we have, oops, missed it. Sorry. There it is. We have ZENworks, ZENcast, Service Desk, and Desktop Containers. So this one will fall under ZENcast and ZENworks and Service Desk because we're covering those databases, but you can go out there to see past recordings as well as other recordings, which we'll cover in just a minute. A little bit of house cleaning. Um, go ahead and subscribe to and put in notifications. We'd like to know that get you involved, but as well that you can log into the YouTube chat so you can talk to us and converse on the topics that we're doing or on the other topics that you might have an issue with or need explaining for. Because even if we don't cover it in this session, at least we'll start that dialogue and we can join up through email or something. Also, if you're watching the recording, comments and likes. Again, in the recording right after this, I'll have the major links that is in the presentation, as well as the download of this PDF presentation. So if you're watching this recording, you can get the PDF right through the comments or description of this particular broadcast. Okay, you can also put the @ in front of your chat and put the name, and you can converse directly with them. And of course, the viewing, set your viewing with the gear to auto 720p60. It'll make it the best. Now we're currently doing tapping into the databases, both CCM and ZSD, but we also have June, July, and August out there. Okay, we've been moving things around. Again, this is more of on demand. So if something comes up that's a critical nature, we want to make sure we present it to you. And so we may adjust these. They are subject to change. But if you'd like to see any of these, zen@microfocus.com, send an email there, or to myself, paul.pedron@microfocus.com, and we'll get them on the agenda. We've had a couple of them recently, including this one that wanted to see certain things, and so that's what we're doing. So we appreciate you here. This is the broadcast, and if you wanted to see the upcoming schedule, we go out a couple months. You can see the schedule here on the forum page. It's a community site. We have May, June, July, and August already set out there. And then we also have the past topics down below. So you can see any of the recordings we've done in the past. Okay. So be aware that that's there and it's for your availability. And it goes directly to the video recording. Okay. Couple of things that are new on the TIDs. So I started doing this because I started seeing some great TIDs being put out there on the ZENworks product line. And some of them, it's like, hey, in case you weren't aware, these TIDs are out here. So we have getting thread and heap dump when ZCC is up. If you're having problems with with these types of issues, you can go out, and there are TIDs out there that are being developed. Getting a stack and heap dump from inside your Docker instance. I think last week or the week before we did a service desk. We had a heap dump in that presentation as well. There was, there was also this one, which I thought was interesting, dynamic admin account creation cleanup. So if you have a dynamic admin, a DAU, uh, things about it, and when they're cleaned up, and just information about the DAU, which is very helpful in ZENworks. ZENworks PostgreSQL DB maintenance is a new one that's out there, which we will have also in today's presentation. But Stuart put this out there and did a great job with some links, how to connect, statements, and so forth. We also have how to put a device in full debug mode, which is your managed device. Yeah, but what does it do, and why do you do it? We're still getting support calls on this, so we put a TID out there so that you could see putting a managed device as well as putting a primary server into full debug mode. Okay. So, and then we have a new one that's out there, ZCM anti-malware. Oh, that's a wrong link. So 6393 is the link. That's a wrong link. And then, so if we went to 6393, okay. If you come across this particular issue, and then ZSD customization cookbook, there's been some, oh, missed that one too, 2551. I must have had a wrong cut and paste. 2551. We've been adding to this slowly as we've responded to customers that have certain issues or questions about customizing the interface or system configurations. There's branding and scenarios also if you're trying to do a particular scenario in Service Desk, and then some troubleshooting utilities. This continues to grow. So if you have Service Desk, review this every once in a while. You will probably find some new information trickling in on that. And then, of course, a Spring for Shell vulnerability. Okay. Community Solutions. We have 4 videos that Oliver put out there that are in German. The nice thing about the German is, one, it's another language that those over in Germany and in Europe can follow along in their native language, but also the slide deck is in, it seems to be in English, as well as when he goes through the tutorial, you can obviously follow along if you're familiar with the console. So 4 videos for XAMPP, 1 for patch management, so we thank Oliver for that. There are some ZSD 8.3 released and what's new and upgrade tutorial. So as you know, if you're on ZSD, we've released version 8.3, and this is an explanation of what's new and then how to upgrade. ZENworks community ideas and exchange. Don't forget to go out to the community and give your ideas, because we look into these, and as they get votes, we realize that it's of high demand, and we want to make sure we get that into the product if that's something that you need. A couple of things also, if you're not familiar with OAuth, so Exchange Online Use of Basic Authentication. October 1st this year, Exchange is going from basic authentication to modern authentication. So your systems will need to change if you're connected to Exchange, as well as Gmail is doing the same thing for the end of this month, May 30th, 2022. So if you are using these particular connections for any type of email, you'll need to look these over and make sure that you configure your systems accordingly, whether it's ZENworks or any other product. We want to make sure that you're running and you're aware of these too. Okay, so these are very important coming up this year. I talked a little bit about TTP, their collaboration and community events. We have the Insights Conference coming in June, and we're excited about that. The nice thing about the Insights Conference is in June we will be doing some very introductory product presentations, meaning if you don't know about iPrint, find a presentation on iPrint and it'll be very basic on how, a 10,000 foot view on how it works, what it does, what you need it for, to see if that's really what you want to go for or start looking into. I'll be doing one on Service Desk, and then in July the survey is, or the conference, the conference TTP. If we go to ttp.org right here, there's a conference out there that will do individual sessions, not just micro focused products, but it could be just about anybody that has a passion and wants to do a presentation on it. It could be, I do my authentication through this particular, and this is how I have it configured, and we found out that this is the best way for us because of, so it's actually customers showing you what they presented or what they have in their organization to in a presentation. So be sure to go out there. There's the Insight series here, and you can join and check out the sessions out there. Okay. We were reported and covered your call analyst on unified endpoint management, so we are very pleased with that. And that report came out. So if you are looking for UEM and how we position ourselves, that particular report is out there. Other live casts, just so you know, there's a Filer live cast, there's a GroupWise Enterprise Messaging live cast, and there's an OES iPrint live cast. Typically on Thursdays, first, second, and last Thursday, done by Robin in the UK. So know that if you have some of those other products, they're doing similar things like we're doing here with ZENworks. We do have event recordings for the universe. These are some of the events that we put together, and it was back in March. You can still go out there and see those sessions. So if you have something that you're looking for, implementing a service desk store or ZENworks reporting, you can go out there and see those presentations. Again, let's talk about the versions for the Unified Endpoint Management and Protection. ZCM 2020 Update 2 is out there. FTF 1005 actually is out there now. It just was released, I think, this week. And these are the cumulative updates, and we'll be covering those in a ZENcast soon. What's new is out there. Upgrade cookbook, some hints and tips aside from the documentation. And then as they are looking for ZCM 2020 U3 beta signups, beta is going to be happening probably end of this month or next month for update 3. If you're interested in that, send an email to zen@microfocus.com and you'll be put on the list. Okay. And ZRS 7.8 is out there. Again, you go to 7.2 and then do the online update to get to 7.8. ZSD 8.3 is out there with some details here with an upgrade cookbook as well as what's new video. And then MFDC 22.4 is out. Desktop containers and application streaming. All right. Okay, let's recap a little bit about last time. We did side-by-side upgrade for version 8.3. We did have to run a prerequisite, right? And then after we ran the prerequisite RPM, or the prerequisite is an 8.2 box appliance to migrate from 8.1 or 8.2. We did it 8.2. You have to run a prerequisite to prepare the second volume to be able to migrate all the data over, and it also collects the identity of the appliance so that it can come up as an 8.3 with the same identity. Backup of customizations, restoration of customization, some documentation in the backout plan. So we covered some of those things. And then in the future, just so you know, the future version 8.3.1 is happening in August. Okay, that'll have some of the Exchange O365 modern authentication with Azure. Okay, and many of your ideas. Let's talk about today's agenda. We're going to talk about databases, connections, tools, references, scenarios, commands, query examples. Okay, we're going to cover about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the system requirements and vendor version because, as you know, you can have multiple types. There are multiple types of databases supported, right? And as we go into this slide, you could see the database ZCM 2017. You actually had Sybase in this as well, but we discontinued it. It was superseded by Postgres or migrating to another database. ZCM 2020 also in ZSD. So we have some databases that both internal and external available for the ZENworks product line. Okay. Um, and when you're upgrading and you need to know which, if you see a system requirement that is supported database that's beyond what you have installed, we only upgrade the Postgres, the internal upgrade embedded database when we do the migration. You'll have to upgrade your database manually through the vendor's procedures, right? If it's Oracle, if it's MS SQL, you have to go through those particular upgrade scenarios that they have as best practices, right? And be sure to check the product system requirements, and database specifications. So remember, there are things like case sensitivity and like admin login in PostgreSQL. There's query statements that are a little bit different, like in Oracle, and compatibility mode for MS SQL. So there's some things in there to be aware of when you're doing commands and those types of things that you need to be aware of. Okay. So we have a connection. We'll talk about connections here. Database administrator, SA. And typically there'll be a system administrator and SA login to the database. Let's bring mine up. Hang on a second. Let me grab mine, and we can close this down. I think, yeah. And we got mine here. Oh, this is a little bigger than I expected, but yeah, we'll go ahead and open up the SQL Server Management Studio for 2018 on this guy. But there's SA, there's a local Windows login, there's obviously a Vertica user if you go into the Vertica database. Some of the databases that are there are ZENworks Audit, there's a Vertica if you're doing high performance, and Service Desk has one, depending on which flavor you use, right? So these are the core databases that are put on whatever vendor that is supported, right? So we're going to log in as a Windows authentication server, and you can see we have databases here. Again, I talked about this is a ZENworks zone and then an audit database, which is covered here. I don't have a Vertica database up, but then we do have some Service Desk databases as well. So you can see that this is my SQL server. So you can see those items there, and you can then dig down into tables. Now, with Microsoft, it makes it real easy. It's a little more GUI friendly and so forth. So we're going to get into some of the other things. What if you have the internal Postgres database for your ZENworks or your Service Desk? Okay. Remember that some of the connection files, the ZDM XML and the Zen Audit XML, Zen Vertica, and respected DMA account properties files, for the ZENworks, you can find some detailed information about your connection to the database through those files, and then testing the connection in ZCM, the ZCC diagnostics and ZDC utility, as well as in Service Desk. So let's go over to, I'm going to go a little bit bigger here because I got a little widespread. All right. So if we go actually to, I didn't want to do that one. I wanted to do this one here. Let's pull it back over. So if we went to one of my servers, 192.168.1.89. Hello. what I'm looking for. Our ZENworks zone. So you can easily see if you go to diagnostics, you can see what you have running at this point. We have our ZENworks audit and our ZENworks database, both on 16, which is this primary server. It's an SQL server. And again, you can see down here, if you have a Vertica cluster, Zookeeper cluster, those types of things running. Zookeeper is running all the time, but it's whether or not it uses the Vertica cluster or Kafka cluster. Okay, so we do show a database on the SQL server. If we go to, I think I have 87 up, which is my service desk. Again, you can see that we have, go admin. This is a new system. And if we go to our setup and we go to database, you can see we're on the internal PostgreSQL. Okay, 5432, database name, the username to log in, right? And then the password. Okay, so I should have, I thought I had PG admin running, but maybe I don't. Maybe it closed. Let's see. Or is it on another machine? It's probably on another machine. Let me go to, okay. Yeah, I got 89, 87, and 160. That should be all that's running. So let's go ahead and look at a few things that we wanted to see. So ZCC diagnostics or ZSD testing. Remember, we have different vendors and versions. They may have their own utilities, like MS SQL has the SQL Studio. Oracle has theirs. There's also dbeaver. There's pgadmin 4 and others out there that you can use. Heidi SQL, Squirrel, and many others. So it depends on the tool, the flavor that you like. The one thing that I've used is pgadmin 4 and dbeaver quite a bit. And so there are some settings that make things a little bit easier for dbeaver by setting the Windows Preferences Editors, Data Editors to binary data format hex. So it sees it as the GUID will present itself instead of just being in a non-hex format. Okay. And then same with pgadmin 4, they have a particular syntax where you use the /x GUID. We'll cover those in a couple of these, but there are a couple examples here, like MS SQL. If you do a select ZUID and you say, I want to see the ZUID platform hostname and password from table Z device, the pgadmin, which I talked about here, doing the /x GUID, to see that, you'd want to put this encode statement in here for wherever there's a hex. In the ZENworks Unified, the identifier for the ZENworks, which is a GUID, is in hex format. So to be able to display that, otherwise it just shows you byte data. Okay, similar to MS SQL, we have this particular setup. You want to see from everything from device where ZUID equals blah, right? If you have a particular one, and you'd have to put a /x in there. All right, so there's some syntaxes in there, and we do have a couple of TIDs that relate to that. We have this TID, which talks about examples, where to get the password between the ZCM appliance and the ZSD appliance. Some examples of logging in and going through the different commands. Here's a command, a select statement here. Okay, if you wanted to do a backup restore of the database, so you back up every once in a while, you can be in control of that as well, and some other commands. Okay, there's also this TID here. Oh, that's the same one. Hang on. This one here, which is migrating Postgres to MS SQL. This was conversation out in the discussion forums that the community put out there. So there are some comments out there how to do it, what to do, what to be aware of. So use those forums up. It's a good tool. And then ZSD automatically runs DB upgrades. So there is a feature out there under the Ideas Exchange where when you're upgrading ZSD, the internal database, you had to re-put in those parameters. Now it's all delivered in this particular feature, which is a few features back. So again, the community is very powerful. We want to make sure that we address your needs, and the more votes, obviously, is the higher need too. So go out there occasionally, check that out. It's good to have. Some references for ZCM. So let's see. We're going to run through in a minute some of those, but there's some connecting to ZRS. There's a community post out there about connecting ZRS to ZSD and ZRS to ZCM. Okay, so there's a couple articles actually. So if you wanted to use ZENworks reporting for that, and this one is actually a video. If you wanted to use a recording, the reporting server, you can do so to get more distinguished reports out of it. And you could schedule reports to go to managers occasionally and so forth. ZRS reporting start to finish, great video that Jason put out there, ZRS tips and info regarding tags. Okay. Remember the Sybase is superseded both in the ZENworks product line, and you have to do a migration tool. There's a migration tool out there, 3.1, that's in the SLD. Okay. Here's some ports that you might find interesting in case you're trying to configure, right? Oops, sorry. Where did I go? Yeah, ports. So depending on what database you're using, and the MySQL is for Service Desk, actually. I don't think it's supported on ZENworks. But again, you can look in, as we did, in your ZCC to double check the ZENworks Control Center if you're doing the ZCM. If you're going over to ZSD, again, there's other resources in this presentation, connecting ZRS to ZSD, connecting ZRS to ZCM and ZSD, again, start to finish in tips. But also some of the ports that are in Service Desk that are available to you. And I say that because you can integrate different pieces of ZCM and ZSD, right? If you want to get your assets of managed and inventory only devices into Service Desk to do some asset management, you can easily do that by integration. Okay, but you need to specify the DB schema and the catalog. And this is an example of the setup in Service Desk to integrate to ZENworks Server. So if we went to, I don't think I went over there on this guy. I think I went over there on this guy. In the configuration, if you're integrating the two, because why you have an asset management database in Service Desk as well, and you can easily import those devices. Why do the work twice? But you can go to here under Service Desk Management and register to that particular Service Desk device. And then on the Service Desk side, you do a configuration like this. And this happens to be the Oracle. Susan gave me this recently, how she connected her Oracle up to it. The one thing to note is Oracle does not have a catalog to specify. Notice here it says catalog, specify the DB catalog. Oracle doesn't have a catalog. If we went to, here's a comparison. You have a PostgreSQL over here, which you could see a catalog right in here, and then a schema over here, and there's no catalog below it. Okay, so there are some slight differences, as well as if you notice the schema is blank over on this side, and the schema has to have ZENworks in it over here. So there's some nuances that you need to be aware of when you're integrating those. But makes it easier to get assets transferred over. So you can also transfer bundles over and manage bundles in remote control from Service Desk. But the ZRS integration is a little bit different. But you notice I'm at 20.0 here. I'd need to, since I've upgraded to 20.2, I'd need to once again go into the ZRS configuration, add a ZENworks domain, and put in the IP address. It'll automatically say, oh, you're at 20.2 now. Do you want to overwrite? Yes, you do. And you continue on. And you can also do Service Desk. Okay. So there's a series of videos and documents about installing on ZRS, as you well know, as I mentioned earlier. So there's good information there. But we're going to run through this. So we have two TIDs. We have this one here, which is our second TID on being able to connect to a Postgres database. Okay. This is primarily for ZENworks configuration management, but the commands will work the same over on Service Desk as well. And then we have this TID, which we brought up earlier, to Postgres SQL database tips and utilities. Again, this is a lot of times the smaller organizations don't have that database administrator, so this will be helpful for those that need that. Okay, so we have some great articles out here on how to do this. Let's run through a couple of these just so that we have an example. We're going to go to here, and I put them in the column so that I don't have to refer back to the TID. So let me go over to, let's see, this one is Service Desk. Where'd it go? There we are. Oh, it was blank because, okay. So here we are, we're at the login. If we exit, we can see we're at the login. So let's go ahead and log in. And we'll get the command up at the top. So if I do SU Postgres, so who am I elevating the system user as? Postgres, right? And it does not exist because I have an external database on this particular one. So quick, easy way to find that out. All right. If we go over to my 8.3 here and we do SU Postgres, we could see now we're logged in as Postgres into the ZSS help desk server. Okay. So we're logged into the server as Postgres now. Next thing we'd want to do is if we wanted to check out what version we're at, PSQL-V, and we can see we're at 13.5. All right. That's the latest that we have out there. This is an 8.3 box. Okay. So let's say we want to do something in the Service Desk database from here. We want to get some information, maybe look at a team or something. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to do a command, PSQL/Service Desk, right? And we hit enter. Sorry, did I do that wrong? Oh no, I'm at Service Desk. Notice the prompt changed to Service Desk. Okay, so now we're in the Service Desk instance that Postgres is hosting. All right. At this time, we can do select star from team, and don't forget the end semicolon, not a colon, but a semicolon. All right. This will give you basically a rundown of the table. Yeah, it's messy because of the size and so forth, but you can export this out, right? But it'll show you the different teams. You can see the default release team, the default couple default release teams, default change team. Okay, so let's go ahead and quit. There we go. It's a /Q. So let's, if we wanted to, we can then go, oh, to export it. Interesting. I didn't get that command. And again, I'm not a database administrator, so this is where I wonder what would be next. What would be next for me is going to PostgreSQL or PG admin. Okay, so let's do that. So you should be able to export this. I don't have the command for it, but let's go ahead and finish this particular sequence here. We can do slash. You could run a script, which I don't have a script with me, but you could do /q, and it will quit. Oh, let's do exit. Sorry. All right, and this is why I'm not a database administrator. Quit service desk, database command line. Thought it was just exit. Oh, it is. So I mean, I'm reading too much into it. I get mixed up with the quits and the exits. And you can see we're at the service desk help desk. Let's go to PG admin, because that is a little bit easier to more GUI interface and so forth. Let's see, where do I have that? I should have it out on this guy. I thought I'm going to go full screen now. There's PG admin right here. So you can see here that if we go to team and hit execute, you now have the information you're looking for in a little more presentable format. And again, you can export and import as needed. And of course, here's your default teams. We saw multiples of, change, approval, so forth. Okay. Say, well, how do I get there? Well, what you need to do is install pgadmin or Squirrel or Heidi SQL, whichever ones. And then you'll basically create a new server and you give it a name, password. I have Linux, and then the connection, you give it the connection. And that's why I put the ports in the demonstration or the slide deck. Okay. And then the SD admin, which you put in for ZSD when you installed it, or you do ZenAdmin for your ZENworks configuration management. Okay. And by doing ZenAdmin, you'd get to the database. And those were in the presentation, those XML files I talked about. Yeah, right there. Not there. Right here. Okay. You have the XML files. You just do a zman dgc command, and you'll get the ZenAdmin with the 0W # password. Okay. It decrypts it for you. But you have to be an administrator to do so, right? So that's what you do. You'd connect. And now you can see that we have a service desk with schema and tables. And of course, we're going into the table team. We go down to team, right? So we're getting everything from team, and these are all the things across for team. Okay. All right. If there's any questions, shout them out in chat. But incident, oops, and we run that. You can see we have some incidents in here. Okay. So pgadmin 4 is one of the major ones I use. I also use, obviously, the SQL one that we were using here. And you can see the database and the tables and so forth. Okay. In the format for SQL. You can see it's DBO team here, right? But again, if I wanted to run a query on this, I can do new query. Brings up a query box for that particular database, and I can do select star from team. Oracle has a commit as well, commit command. So be aware of the syntax for the different vendors of databases that you're using. This one isn't as developed as that one. If we went into this one, we can see a little bit different. If I do right click query, and we do select star from team, execute, you can see this has a lot more teams. Okay. And once again, if we go to the zone, no, go to DigiZone, for instance, and we do a query here, you can see that it's connected to the tables. And this is, of course, ZENworks configuration management. You then also do a new query and select star from device, Z device. And run. The other thing is you can select star from what's another ZOPIC data. If you ran this like it is here, it'll run them in sequence down here, right? So you have both of them displayed at the same time. And move this up. Oh, it's not wanting to move up. There we go. Okay, but if you wanted just to run to the one, you can highlight just the one and do execute. Okay, or just the other. So you don't have to keep erasing or opening a new query window for each one of these. You can just highlight and run. And that way you can slowly build on that. Okay, so those are the databases. You have also the audit databases here for ZENworks. You have both of them. Okay. So that's the connect. You want to make sure you get a connection, PG admin connection to the database as shown here. Let's see, where are we on the presentation? Okay, so we did some ports. This is what it looks like for integration. And this is where you can have item categories, hardware, software, bundle, or mobile devices coming in, as well as the import device groups coming into Service Desk if you wanted to integrate those assets, so you can start using the asset management in ZENworks Service Desk. The nice thing is, like I said, if you own ZENworks, any portion of ZENworks, you own 2 licenses of Service Desk, which means you can prop up a Service Desk, do some asset management, as well as you can do the store without any additional cost. Okay, which means users can actually go out and select bundles. You have enterprise bundles that may be Adobe Reader or some specialized internal app that everybody can use. You can put it out in the store. They can select it and it'll automatically install. If you're feeling good about that process and it doesn't take any other effort and you're comfortable giving that out, they can go ahead and save some time calling the help desk and sending a tech out or going into ZCC to just sign their bundle. Okay, so we went through the scripts. There's your ZMan DGC and ZMan DGCA, all right, that we saw. If we went to, do I have a ZENworks up? This one's up. So ZMan DGC, it's going to ask you for rights to display that information. Oops, username, sorry. That's right. Yeah. DGC. Oh, I spelled it wrong. So since I don't have an embedded database on this guy, remember I mentioned it's over on the MS SQL, it'll tell you this, but otherwise it'll give you, I don't have one up that will give you that password. Basically, if you run it before, if you run that, you'll easily see it has the username and the password to make your connection for PGSQL. Okay, for in here. And since I don't have a database up that is a ZENworks database that's internal, I can't make a connection here. Since it's MS SQL, I can just go over here and go to the MS SQL. Okay, I have a connection here. That's these connections. Okay, so those are a couple of little things that are out there as far as databases, tapping into them, trying to get what you want. Now, any select statement will not do any harm. Okay, if it's an update or those types of commands, be careful. But you can run select statements all day long and not have a thing. You're not impacting the database at all. All right, so you can build these out. So if I wanted to say select from device, so if we go here, execute, now what I might do is I might go select star from Z device where, so now I can start building out host name, like, and I can put percent CORP percent. I might need quotes. I think I need quotes on these. And I can just highlight this, execute, and I got a syntax error. I think I need a single quote here, a single quote here, and like corp. So if I'm uncertain and I want to see it again, I could just highlight this and go back here. Let's go equals. And we can go DA zone. See if that works. This is where I get my cheat sheets out, right? When I've done the commands before, and go ahead and cut and paste, right? So there's the one instead of all of them. The other thing you could do is you can go right here and just hit execute because you've highlighted that much to get everything, all right? So you can run select statements all day and you can start whittling out and doing joins and things like that in order to get what you need to display. Instead of all, I could do maybe I just want host name, port, and we have something else over here we can grab. Let's see, what do we have over here? We can go serial number maybe. Oh, agent version. So let's do that. Agent version. And you can see it brings in the actual spelling. The nice thing is this is not case sensitive in this case. So if we wanted to get that just from the DA zone, we get just that. Okay. Clear as mud. Excellent. All right. Let's see what I have on the presentation next. So here's some select column from table and so forth that I put in here. Make sure you close statement with a semicolon. Some require it. I know Oracle requires that in a commit, I believe. And so I put that in there. It doesn't hurt to put it in there, but some of them will accept it without. And you, again, highlighting the query and executing. All right. Okay, in size. So One thing not to be confused with is if you're, let's say you're migrating 2017 from Sybase to Postgres, don't get the idea that when you migrate your Sybase to Postgres and you're looking at size, that they'll be the same, because they won't be the same, because they put it in a different format. Okay. Columns are a little bit different, and indexes and so forth. So I just not a fair comparisons. It's apples to oranges. So be aware that is not. We did have a support call saying, "Hey, I've migrated and I see it's a lot smaller. Did I lose data?" type thing. And they didn't. It's just you can't compare. So I thought I'd put that note in there. Any questions about database connections or these types of functions? We have our databases, we did our commands, we did our connections, both SQL and PostgreSQL. Trying to think if there's anything else. There's plenty of things, right? But we're running down on time. If there's any questions, throw them in chat real quick. But this is how you can tap into the database, not just from a utility. Utility is the easiest. In my experience, the utility is the easiest. But you can actually get data out from the actual command line. It takes a little bit more understanding of the sequence, knowing that this is, for instance, Postgres logged into the help desk, whereas right now we're in his root. Those types of things and where you sit. Don't prefer it myself, but some people are just a breeze at this. I've seen the developers and stuff just go through here and it all makes sense, right? But you can use other utilities and tools, and just know that those utility and tools may have some idiosyncrasies or nuances that may be needed to be set, like the dbeaver setting the hex binary data to hex and so forth. Okay. So that's the lab portion. Remember that. Oh, is that next time? Interesting. Wait a minute. I think I got them mixed up. Let me look at my schedule. Let's go over here. Here we go. Oh yeah. So next one is applying cumulative updates. I didn't change the master slide on this. So one thing to note in your ZCM, if you have applied 998, which is a FTF fix for the log4j, now you can get cumulative updates, which means that just about every month you can do maintenance on your system and get those fixes without having to wait until the next release. All right. They're up to 1005 right now, which I don't know if it correlates to the month or not, but I do know that it's been about every month they've released one. And so you don't have to do them every month either. If you skipped 3 and 4, you can go directly from 2 to 5 and you'll get all of 3, 4, and 5s. Okay. So those are in the SLD. You'll find them. Do be aware that those are great to have. It makes it a breeze to keep maintenance up. But we're going to cover that next time. Is that right? No, that's June 21st. I am way off. Boy, it's already May and I'm already into end of June. We're doing MFDC streaming, and then we're doing applying cumulative updates. So this was incorrect. We will be going over desktop streaming as a low-cost alternative. If you've seen MFDC, I think you'll be interested in, or if you're trying to get your remote users to be able to get applications that are in-house, even data in-house, and keep it in-house, check out the next stream because it'll be great. I don't have anything else. I appreciate everybody's time being here. Thank you for watching the recording. If you're watching the recording, feel free to download this particular PDF, and I hope everybody stays safe. We will see you June 7th for desktop applications, and then the 21st applying cumulative updates. Thank you very much.